Hey dolls and friends, welcome back and thanks so much for spending part of your day with me. If you're new here, my name is Amber Michon and I create farmhouse inspired home decor using majority of a Dollar Tree or other affordable items. But if you're not new, hey doll, hey. Yes, you guys, I am back, or we are back. You happy to be back?
Yeah.
Boys, they say, have boys. They're fun. But yes, we are back. I am so excited that I am back with another DIY decor video for y'all. Super excited about this video and I really hope you guys do enjoy it. It is all about the Kirkland's dupe. I have 5 brand new inspired pieces for you guys that are going to save you tons of money. We all love the Kirkland's home decor, but sometimes they are a bit pricey. Right now, they are having a massive sale, which is, I'm a little mind-boggled by it. I don't know what's going on. Maybe they just have a lot of new stuff that they're bringing in. But they do have a pretty good sale going on. But still, you can still save about 80% off of their prices, their sale prices, with some of the dupes that I am going to share with y'all. So I do hope you guys enjoy it. If you do, make sure you give me a big thumbs up because it definitely helps out my channel and the recommendations. If you're new, love what you see, but also love all things home decor, DIYing on a budget, I would also appreciate if you would consider subscribing and hitting the bell right next to it so you're notified every time that I upload. All right, dolls, let's go ahead and get started. So first up, I saw this gathered together wood plank wall sign and I just thought it was so pretty. I really love the wood grain and I just knew I could make it for much cheaper. So from Dollar Tree, I got 2 of the larger packs of the tumbling tower blocks or Jenga pieces. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some wood glue also from Dollar Tree and glue 3 of them together. So I'm doing 5 sets of 3 for each row that I'm going to make. So it's quite a few steps, so just follow along. So first I'm going to glue 3 together in 5 sets, and then I'm going to glue those 5 sets together to make 1 row. So once I have my 5 sets of 3, I am then going to glue those sets together, but I am going to alternate the way that they are turned. So one way is going to be horizontal and then the next one is going to be vertical and so on and so forth. So since there are 5, the top and the bottom should match the same kind of way. And I'm using wood glue so that it has a longer term hold. I really hate using hot glue on these tumbling tower pieces, on any really wood pieces this small, because it shows a gap. So as you can see here, I have a few of these rows done, and this is how they're going to be put together. It's going to be opposite. The horizontal and the vertical are going to go together. So this is how they are going to lay. So I am going to finish up doing the rest of my rows. I'm going to have 7 rows of 5 3 pieces, if that makes any sense. So 3 pieces for each square block, 5 rows of 3, and then 7 rows of 5. I really hope that makes sense. But in the end, you should have 7 rows, and that is a total of 105 tumbling tower block pieces. I used 2 packs, the large packs, and I still had probably 10 pieces left over. So 2 packs is more than enough. Then once the 7 rows are complete and they're dry, this is actually fast drying wood glue. So it only takes maybe 20 minutes to dry. I still let them sit for about an hour in between, and I'm just going to glue them all together. Now you see me holding them here, pushing them kind of together, is that I want them to set this way because I've been using wood glue a lot on some of my wood projects, but I just wanted to make sure that they stayed tight and close together. In the end, they will, even if you just kind of put it right next to each other and kind of squeeze it, but you don't really have to hold it. But I just did for that extra comfort for myself. But yeah, so once I had them all together, then I just put a piece of painter's tape over the middle of it, just so I can work with the rest of the piece and just made sure that they all stay together. I was real neurotic with this one. I just really wanted it to stay together. So then once that was done, then I decided to do a border around it because the Kirkland's piece, it has like a little border around it. So all I did is took some extra pieces that I had left over. Still, I still had enough left over in my second box after I did this border. So I'm just using wood glue and just doing them all the way around. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to line them up first, because I realized that the corners were not going to fit one full piece in there. So I decided to place all of the pieces around, and then I just marked down where I needed to cut. It was actually pretty even for me to have to cut them all, the 4 corners down to size. It worked out pretty perfectly. And then I just put more wood glue on the front and the side of each of those tumbling tower pieces and just kept adhering them to the sides. And yeah, it was really easy. I just let everything dry really, really well before I picked it up and did anything. This is what my pieces look like after I cut them down using my miter saw. And then I just glued them right onto the corners, putting a generous amount of wood glue on the 2 sides that would touch the other pieces. I did end up using a lot of wood glue. I had a smaller bottle of wood glue from the Dollar Tree, and I pretty much used it all, and I had only used it a couple times before. But anyways, after I put everything together, I'm going to let it dry completely for 24 hours and not touch it. Then after I let it dry, I'm going to use my Varathane Honey wood stain, and I'm going to use a foam brush. I didn't have a smaller foam brush. I had to use this really thick one, and it was kind of a pain sticking the corners in there, but it worked out just fine. And I just did one good coat of it. I really love using foam brushes for stain, because it doesn't really have a whole lot on there. And I also let this dry for a full 24 hours. I also stained the sides as well. Next, I'm going to use this matte Mod Podge, and I am going to just do a thin layer right on towards the middle of this sign. The reason I'm doing this is because I'm putting vinyl over the front of this, and we all know, or you should, if you don't know, vinyl does not stick to stain very well. And I did not have any water-based polyurethane. I only had oil-based, so I knew it wouldn't stick to that. So this is my first time actually trying out the Mod Podge to adhere my vinyl. I let the Mod Podge dry for about an hour, and it stuck really, really well. I lost the footage of me putting the gather there, but the together, you can see that this is white vinyl. I used my Cricut Explore 3, and it stuck really, really well, y'all. And I just put another thin layer of Mod Podge over the top of this, and that is it for this one. I really, really love how this turned out. This literally cost me $4 to create. And yeah, I mean, super cheap to get a high-end look. Next up, I saw this really adorable Farm Fresh milk jug, and I knew I had to make it. Now, I already had this milk jug on hand. I bought it from the Goodwill for $1.99. I bought it last year, and I did a few DIYs where I just put like some vinyl on the front. I never painted it, but this time I'm going to use my flat white spray paint from Rust-Oleum that I picked up from Walmart, and I gave that one good coat. Then Dollar Tree has these new farmers market. They have some, some farmhouse, decals and stuff like that. I really haven't found many. I've just found a few stencils. So I'm going to use this farmer's market stencil with a chicken on the front, and I'm going to put a thin layer of Mod Podge onto the front for it to stick. In the end, I did put down some painter's tape to hold it in place. Then I'm going to use some black acrylic paint and a paintbrush, and then just paint over this. I gave this about 2 coats. I tried to make sure that my Mod Podge dried in between, but when you see me lift up the stencil, you'll see that it just did not dry well enough. I left it for like 2 hours to dry, and it still did not dry all the way underneath. I think I just put too much Mod Podge on there. But then I took the black paint to the rim of my milk jug and just did some distressing marks around the top. And now I'm going to remove my stencil after drying it a little bit. I try to go in between dry and still a little bit of wet. with my stencils, but you can see here the F, A, and the M on Farmer and then Market just does not look right. So I tried to go back with a white paint marker and fix it, and you'll see it in the reveal, but it just doesn't look that great. So I think that I'm going to probably take a sanding block to this and just sand it down a little bit and just give it more of like that rustic farmhouse feel. But after I gave it just a few more detailed touches, this is what it turned out to look like. I still think it's really cute, and I did both sides. So it's a 360 kind of milk jug thing, but I think I need to take a sanding sponge to it just to give it a little bit more to fix my imperfections. Let me know what you think. Next up, I fell in love with this Our Happy Place wall plaque. I thought it was just so pretty, and I knew I could make it for super duper cheap, $75. I'm sure it's really big, but mine only cost me $5. So this wood pile thing it's a sign from Hobby Lobby. It was $5.99, but I got it a long time ago, so it was still when Hobby Lobby had 40% off, and so it didn't cost me it cost me like maybe $2.50. Anyways, because I had a bunch of coupons and a whole bunch of returns and stuff like that. Anyways, I'm going to use this, and then I'm going to take some painter's tape and just tape off the top of my sign, because I'm going to use that as a border, because the Kirkland's piece has the wood frame look to it. So I'm just going to tape it off using some painter's tape, super easy. And then I'm going to paint the inside using my jet black acrylic paint from Apple Barrel. You can pick it up from Walmart. I just gave this one good coat, and then I also tried to get in between where the openings were. My piece has a couple of openings, but hey, I didn't want to have to build this sign, and this turned out just fine. After I let that dry, I went ahead and took my painter's tape off. I also tried to remove a little bit of the paint that bled. And so once I was done, I went to my Cricut again and cut out Our Happy Place in white vinyl. I actually used my Cricut Joy for this one because the words were really small. And then I'm just transferring it over with my Expressions vinyl transfer tape. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Just positioned it where I need it to. Make sure you just measure out how big or how long your sign is, so that way you can have the right measurements for your phrase in design space when you're using your Cricut. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's all I did. Once I transferred it over, I did use my matte Mod Podge and gave a thin layer so that way my vinyl would stick and stay. It was removable vinyl, but I wanted this to stay down. So that's why I did a light layer of Mod Podge over the entire thing. And this is how it turned out. And I think it is adorable. I think it is awesome. I definitely saved $70 because the Kirkland's piece was $75. This cost me $5 altogether if you have to buy everything, but it really only cost me like $2. For this next DIY, I really love this phrase. It's not about what we have, but who we have in life. And it's a framed wall plaque. It's on sale just for $15, so not too bad of a price. Kirkland's is having an amazing sale for some reason, but I really wanted to recreate this myself. So from Dollar Tree, I'm using 2 of their long signs. They usually have these seasonal, and some poplar board from Home Depot. It cost me about $1.25 each for the poplar board. Now, the reason I'm using 2 of these signs, and I'm just going to mark it down the middle and cut it in half, is because I don't like using the top of the signs where the holes are from Dollar Tree that you have to fill it in with wood filler. And I just didn't have any wood filler on hand, and I did not want any of those holes to show. So that's why I'm using 2 signs and cut them both in half. Then I just placed them together, hot glued them together, secured them with some craft sticks that I had lying around, and covered the back with some brown craft paper. And I used hot glue for all of this. It worked out just fine. Once I cut that down, or cut off the additional craft paper, I am then going to take my poplar board and just measure that out, mark that down. And I think I had to use 2 poplar board pieces. Like I said, they cost me maybe $1.25, if that. I think $1.17 at the Home Depot. And I'm actually had to do this. I had to fix it a couple times because I cut them at a 45-degree angle instead of just straight across. I really wanted that decorative frame look. So that's what I did. This is what they look like. And then I'm just sanding down the edges so that way the pieces that are serrated or whatever, it just comes right off. It just gives it a better look. Then I'm using my Honey Varathane wood stain again to paint that, and then some black acrylic paint to paint my sign. I just did 1 layer for each piece, and I used a foam brush again for my wood pieces. This is how everything looks when they are dry. For some reason, I have 2 pieces that are lighter than the other, so I just made sure that I alternated them, if you get my drift. I'm really like, I don't know, I'm really like OCD with that or something. I don't know, I'm really particular about stuff having to look equal and, you know, dimensional or whatever. Anyways, back to the DIY. We're going to put it together, and we're going to use a combination of wood glue and hot glue to get some instant hold but long-term hold as well. So I did this for all 4 pieces, where I just kind of framed out the frame piece with the wood glue and then put the hot glue right there in the middle so I could get a quick hold down to it. And I just pressed it down to make sure it stayed in place. I always make sure that I put my frame pieces together first before I actually glue them down to make sure that they fit properly, because sometimes you got to change it out. You don't want to just rush to putting it together, because now you're stuck with it looking lopsided or uneven when you should have like taken it off to cut it down. So just pro tip, just make sure you do a draft of everything first, I guess you would say. Then I went to actually just my computer. I went into a Word document and just typed this out. I think the font I used was Calibre bold, I think. And I just typed this in and did it all to the left side and just cut it down on the sides using my Cricut cutter to make it straight and everything. And then just going to adhere it to the front of that sign. But first up, let's hear from Isaiah and see what he thinks about this project. When he sees those lights on and me standing up in here, he's just got to come and see what's happening and see if he can help. It's just a nosy busybody. Anyways, after he got out of my way, I just used some matte Mod Podge again and just gave a thin layer onto that paper and just smoothed it out on the front of my sign. And that's it. It looks so great, you guys. It looks exactly like this piece. And even though it was only 15 bucks, this cost me about $3 itself, because I just had to buy the poplar board. I already had the signs from, you know, hauls and stuff, but it's still going to cost you just about $5. Lastly, I am making a wreath. You guys, I have not made a wreath in so long. If you saw my last video, you know that I have not been crafting for over a month. So it felt so good to make this wreath. And I just thought that this wreath was so precious. I love the simplicity of it, and I love the little welcome sign on the front. The only thing I'm not doing is a bow, because I'm terrible at bows, and I didn't have a a ribbon color that I liked. So I'm just using some greenery that I have on hand and a willow wreath, or a grapevine wreath that I've been using over and over and over. It has a bunch of like hot glue pieces on there. So far I have spent $0. And I'm also using a piece of poplar board that I cut down from earlier projects in this video. So that cost me nothing. And then I already have this blessed word. Actually, a sweet subscriber sent me a pack and this word was in there. And so I've spent $0 yet on this project. So anyways, if you've been around for a bit, you know I like to just kind of stick my florals into my wreath. It goes a long way, and then you can just change it out and not have have to keep buying wreath forms unless you're going to sell it like I plan on in the near future. But these are just eucalyptus picks and just random other like grapevine picks that were on other floral pieces that I cut down the flowers, and I just have greenery pieces. So I just stick them all in there. You get your fullness that you like and just set it aside. Then I'm going to take some Rust-Oleum Golden Oak stain. This is actually from Dollar Tree, and a baby wipe, and just adhere that stain to that poplar board. Then I'm going to paint that blessed word using some acrylic black paint, and I gave that 2 coats. Once everything was dry, when I was ready to put it together, then I just hot glued the blessed word right onto the front of that plaque. And I hate getting hot glue like strings all around, so I just use my Cricut tool, my weeding tool, and just get that up. Then I just place it in the middle to make sure that it looks right and it's center and none of the greenery pieces are covering it. And then I just hot glue it down onto both ends, and that is it, y'all. Super easy. It cost me $0. If you have to buy everything, it might cost you about $5, but no more than that. And you have this gorgeous, gorgeous piece, and it is not almost $40 like Kirkland's. It's just $5. Super pretty. It will look great on like a kitchen door or above like a window in your kitchen or even above your stove. But I think it's so precious. It's so cute and great wall decor. That's all I have for you today. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you give me a big thumbs up. Let me know down in the comments below which inspired dupe happens to be your favorite. Other than that, be blessed, stay safe, and I will see y'all on the next one. Bye. Huh? Okay. Oh no!
Bye.
Say we're back.
We're back.
Alright, go ahead. Don't tell Daddy to change your pull-up. Okay, thank you. Good job. Thank you.
Okay, so Mommy has a baby in her belly. And another one, so we're gonna have a sister one.
You hope we have a sister, huh?
Cause I don't want no more brothers.
You don't want no more brothers?
No, I just want a sister.
Why?
No.
Yeah.
So, bye, dolls.